I left early to beat the weekend noise. July 4th always turns the town into a mess. Fireworks, parades, people pretending to be patriotic for a day. I just wanted quiet. The cabin wasn't mine. A friend of a friend. Remote, up in the hills past Glacier View. No reception. No power, really. Just a wood stove, solar lights, and a single-lane road that twisted so hard I almost turned around twice. I got there Thursday night. Dropped my bag, swept the dust off the mattress, opened a can of soup. It was perfect. I spent Friday hiking. No trail, just uphill climbs and soft dirt. Thick pine air. Cold silence. Around 5 I made it back to the ridge and watched the sun fade. No neighbors. No drone of ATVs. Just a single crow circling far out near the tree line. That night I fell asleep easy. But I woke up twice. The first time, I thought it was a dream. Just a high humming sound, like a transformer buzzing. Faint, like it came from underground. The second time, it was light. Not sunrise. Just sudden light through the window. White. No source. I sat up too fast. Knocked over my water bottle. By the time I stood, it was gone. The room dark again. Just creaks and my breathing. I looked outside. Trees. Nothing else. I checked the time, 4:14 a.m. I remember that number because it didn't feel real. Too early. Too specific. Then I checked again. The phone said 3:48. Then blacked out. When it came back on, the battery was at 92%. It had been at 11% when I went to bed. I should have taken that as a sign. But I just chalked it up to the cold and bad reception. I made coffee. But the cup was warm before I poured anything in. Just faintly, like it had been used. I touched the kettle. Cold. The stove, off. Still, the cup steamed a little. I left it on the table and stepped outside. The woods looked the same. But I didn't feel like I was looking at them from the same place. Like the angles were wrong. Like the ridge dipped differently. And on the horizon, far out past the next line of trees, I saw a flicker. White. Then blue. Then nothing. No sound. Just the crow again. Still circling. That morning felt stretched. Like everything around me was real, but slightly too slow. I walked up the ridge trail, same one I took yesterday. Same shoes, same bag, same small knife clipped to my belt. But it felt different. Like I was walking into a version of the trail that had been copied and not quite pasted right. There were no birds. Even the wind didn't move like before. The trees had a shine to them, too smooth in spots, like they'd been polished. Even the pine needles looked more spaced apart than they should have been. At the top of the ridge I stopped to drink water. The bottle was full, but I remembered finishing it last night. I unscrewed the lid. The seal cracked, like it had never been opened. I tasted it. Still cold. There was no way it could have stayed that way. I pulled out my phone. No service, no time. Just a black lock screen. Then it blinked on, 4:14 a.m. Again. I turned it off. Walked further. That's when I saw the shoe prints. Not hiking boots, sneakers. Like someone had jogged up the trail yesterday. But I was alone. I followed them. They went halfway up the ridge, circled once, and stopped. Dead stop. No prints back down. Just one circle in the dust. Then I saw something next to them. A phone. Face down, no cracks, half buried in pine needles. Same model as mine. Same case. I picked it up. And it unlocked. No code. The home screen showed a photo. Me. Sitting outside the cabin. Drinking from a mug. That same mug that was still on the table back inside. But I hadn't taken that photo. I hadn't sat outside that morning. The angle was wide, like it had been taken from the woods. Low to the ground. Farther away than I would have noticed. I put the phone down. Didn't turn around. Just stood there, heart beating out of rhythm. And then I heard the crow. Louder. Closer. Circling overhead like it was waiting for something to happen. I went back to the cabin. Fast. Didn't run, just moved steady, eyes forward, knife loose in my hand. The air felt thinner. Like altitude sickness, but I hadn't climbed. When I stepped onto the porch, the cup was gone. The one I'd left steaming earlier that morning. In its place, a clean mug. Same style, same chip on the rim. Only this one was full. Steam curled from the surface. It wasn't coffee. No smell. Just heat. I touched the handle, warm like skin. And next to it, on the table, was my notebook. I hadn't unpacked it. Hadn't used it in years. But there it was. Open. One page torn out, folded twice. I picked it up. Unfolded it slow. Inside, the date. July 4th. And a time written below it. 4:14 a.m. Again. Same handwriting as mine. But slanted. Like I'd written it with my offhand. I flipped the page. Blank. No other notes. I checked the drawer where I usually kept the notebook. It was still there. Untouched. Still sealed with an old rubber band. Now there were two. I sat down. The chair creaked louder than usual. I looked at the second mug again. Still warm. Still full. I didn't drink it. Didn't pour it out. I just sat there, eyes on the treeling. That's when I noticed the crow. Not flying. Perched. Directly in front of the window. Staring in. It didn't blink. Just watched. Then it opened its beak. And made no sound. Just the motion. Mouth open. Mouth closed. Like it was trying to speak, but had forgotten how. I stayed inside the rest of the afternoon. Didn't move much. Didn't eat. Just watched the edges of things. Corners of the room. Shadows on the floor that didn't always match the way the cabin faced the sun. When evening came, I expected fireworks. Even way out here, sometimes you can hear the echo, soft cracks drifting up the valley. But it was silent. No celebration. No sound at all. And then, just before full dark, the light came back. Same pale white. Same sudden flash. Not from above. From behind the cabin. It didn't spill across the ground like a floodlight. It pulsed. Like a heartbeat through fog. I stood at the door and waited. Didn't open it. Didn't need to. Because a moment later, the light blinked out. And I heard footsteps on the roof. 2. Then 3. Then silence. Then, my voice. From outside. Muffled. Low. Saying something I couldn't make out. I opened the door slowly. Stepped out. No one there. Roof empty. Ground undisturbed. But 20 feet from the porch, something glowed faintly under the pine needles. I walked toward it. Knelt. A phone. Face up this time. Screen cracked. Battery flickering. I picked it up. Not mine. Different model, no lock screen. The Photos app was open. Most recent picture. Me. Standing in the woods. Face blank. Eyes closed. Taken from a high angle, like a drone shot. But there was no drone. Just trees. And in the corner of the frame, barely visible, something else. Not a person. Not an animal. Just a shape. Pale. Too tall. Too thin. Half behind a tree. As if it knew the camera wasn't really for me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the cabin with the door locked, though I knew it wouldn't matter. Nothing out here needed doors. At some point, probably close to dawn, I realized the clothes I was wearing weren't mine. Not exactly. The shirt had a small tear near the collar. I didn't remember that. The pants felt looser. Same color. Same brand. But worn different. Broken in where mine were stiff. I opened my bag. Inside, my folded clothes. The real ones. No tear in the shirt. I touched the pair I had on. Still warm. Still smelled faintly like my soap. But they weren't the same. I stood and checked the mirror nailed to the inside wall. Something about my face looked earlier. Not younger. Just slightly off. Like a photo taken seconds before a blink. I walked outside, still dressed in the wrong version of myself. The air was dense. The trail was clearer than yesterday, almost like it had been swept. And I could smell something faint. Plastic and heat. Like a charger left too long in the wall. At the ridge, the sky flickered again. Brief white. Then nothing. But on the ground, a folded piece of paper. Tucked under a rock. Same paper as the one in my notebook. But this one had writing. Block letters. No punctuation. Written fast. Do not follow yourself back. I read it again. Do not follow yourself back. Then, from the treeline, I heard my voice. Calling. Not shouting. Just enough for me to hear. Hey. Over here. Then a pause. Then, it's fine now. You can come out. I didn't answer. I stayed still on the ridge, hand closed tight around the note. The voice came again. Less insistent this time. More casual. You left your jacket. Same tone I use when talking to friends. Same rhythm. I turned slowly toward the cabin. It stood quiet below me. Dark windows. Door slightly ajar. Then I saw movement. Someone stepped up onto the porch. Wearing my jacket. Wearing my clothes. Same torn collar. Same posture. And he moved like me. Pausing at the doorway. Looking once over his shoulder, in my direction, but not directly at me. Then he went inside. I waited. Counted to 60. Then again. No sound. No light. I walked the edge of the trail, circling wide. Didn't go down. Just watched. At one point I saw the crow again. Sitting near the chimney. Facing away. Still. Then it dropped off the edge of the roof like it had been pulled. Didn't fly. Just vanished behind the siding. I backed away. Sat on a rock under the trees until the sky turned gray. At sunrise, or what passed for it, I crept down. The door was closed. Not the way I left it. Inside, everything looked exactly the same. Except my bag. It was zipped. And when I opened it, everything was back in place. My real clothes. My old phone, battery dead. The knife, clean and used. And on top of it all, the folded paper. Same message. Same hand. But this time, a new line underneath. You already did. I didn't eat. Didn't check the map. Just packed the bag, left the mug on the table, and shut the cabin door without locking it. I didn't want to take anything with me that wasn't mine. The road down felt longer than before. Like the gravel had thickened. Like the trees leaned slightly inward. Watching. I made it to the base of the hill around noon. At least, that's what the car clock said. But I didn't trust it. The gas tank was nearly full. Even though I remembered it near empty. I drove straight to a small gas station just past Glen Haven. Went inside. The guy behind the counter looked up, surprised. Didn't expect to see you back so soon, he said. I didn't respond. He smiled awkwardly. You were just here yesterday. Thought you were heading out longer. I blinked. What? He tilted his head. Weren't you in here? Same jacket. Bought the chips, remember? I shook my head. No. But my receipt was on the counter. He picked it up. Yeah, here, 10:43 a.m., July 3rd. He held it out. I took it. Same name on the card. Mine. I left without another word. Checked my bank app. The charge was there. I hadn't touched the card since June. Back home, my apartment looked untouched. Keys on the hook. Fridge light worked. But my bed was made differently. Not the way I leave it. Tighter. Like someone slept there and tried to cover it up. I sat down, still in the wrong clothes. And that's when I saw the second phone. On the kitchen counter. Charging. Same lock screen. Same photos. It buzzed once. New photo added. I opened the gallery. The picture showed my car. Parked in front of the cabin. From above. From yesterday. I didn't unpack. Didn't shower. I sat on the couch and waited for night. The phone buzzed again. Same one I found on the counter. It buzzed once every hour. No messages. No alerts. Just photos. All of them, me. Outside the cabin. Walking down the road. Sitting in the car. But in each one, the timestamp said July 5th. That was tomorrow. I unplugged the phone. Turned it off. Tossed it in the closet. Then I opened my laptop. I hadn't used it in days. But when it booted, a document was already open. Untitled. One sentence, typed and blinking. You're already back. I checked the typing history. Last saved at 4:14 a.m. I shut the laptop. Left it open on the table. Outside, the street was quiet. But the lights across the road blinked. Once. Then again. Then all at once. Like the grid surged for a moment and passed. I looked out my window. The crow was there. Perched on the power line. Staring. Just like it had on the cabin roof. I turned away. Went to the bathroom. Splashed cold water on my face. Looked up. The mirror fogged slightly. But I hadn't used hot water. As the glass cleared, I saw movement behind me. Just a shape. Same jacket. Same torn collar. I turned, nothing. Just the door frame. But the mirror still showed the shape. Still. Closer now. I backed out of the bathroom. Closed the door. Sat in the hallway, breathing shallow. I picked up my real phone. No messages. But the gallery had changed. The first photo in my album was now black. All black. Except for one thing. A single eye. Looking at the lens. Close. Like the phone had been held to someone's face in total dark. That was the last thing I saw before the screen blinked white. Time, 4:14 a.m. The end.